What's up, everyone? Welcome to a new episode of the Batters Patch. Today we got the second and only other Sankranti release we all watched. It's Hanu Man, and we have Kata, we have Avinav, we have Ankit with us today to discuss this movie, and then we'll be doing the usual template. We'll be talking about stuff we liked, stuff we didn't like. Um, you know, let's go negative first this time. We've been way too positive past few episodes.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, we always do that, and we'll let Avi start. How about that?
Well, I am
Yeah,
I'm honored,
we're
man.
swi
Amazing.
yeah, we're switching shit up this episode. I
Hey, man.
promised you. Yeah,
That's wonderful, man. All right,
you
so
didn't like it, right? So you can do the negatives.
no, yeah, we can okay. Yeah, so negatives. So I think for me it's just a little too like not believable. I mean like I understand like there's comedy throughout that like I can see is that's entertaining throughout Deja's role as as Hanuman. So for me though, like I think one negative is that it just didn't some sequences, some scenes did not hit and it did not I just thought like it just didn't seem believable for me for whatever reason. Maybe it's just the fact that I'm not a fan of this type of genre. Um but yeah, I think one of the biggest things is just throughout there's multiple scenes I just felt like there's comedy, but then there's also like, what can be believable on screen to like audiences. And so I think there's definitely sequences. I mean, the villain, what's his face, the Roy dude, I thought he was unbearable. Um, I don't know. For me, I thought he just his acting was like kind of like you could tell he's kind of overdoing it. I felt. I mean, like the whole background scene, he kills his parents like as a kid, right? To show them like, oh, I can like, it just seemed like a little too, you know, too much. And I think I see what they were trying to do in the genre, but it just for me, there's just it was overdone in certain sequences. So I would say overall for me, just things were not convincible. So yeah, that's one of mine. I don't
Wow.
know if
I
you
think you just invented a word, convincible.
convincible. Yes, I created one. Yes. We might as well. I mean, we're
Yeah,
superheroes, man. We can create our own words, right? So,
villain
Wow.
villain was a little villain
yeah,
was a little cringe. Like I
yeah,
agree, but I
yeah,
think I think that's what they're going for, right? If you look at like early Marvel movies or shit like that, like superhero movies never have like until Thanos came along or like Bucky, people like that. Like the supervillains are usually like, oh, I have a diabolical plan, like I have to take over the world. Same shit he does. But I agree. At least they gave him a backstory though. In half our movies, the villain's just a villain for the sake of it, right? And this one, you at least see like he has a backstory. The first like what 15 minutes of the movie are just him, so that's at least a step in the right direction. But I agree, he's a little that's a negative of mine too. He does overact, and I feel like they gave him so much like build up in the beginning. They should have given him some more scenes just himself. And I thought Vanilla Kishore was like a little annoying sometimes. Shazam, like I don't know, like I think like Prashant Verma obviously got inspired by Marvel movies, and I think Vanilla Kishore is supposed to be like that techie character they have in movies who makes like
yeah,
jokes and puns, but those don't even fucking work in Marvel, right? So I think, but he
yeah.
serves a
This
purpose in the movie, but the comedy's cap for him.
cap, yeah, yeah. I forgot to mention Melancholy Shore also. Yeah, I think
Shazam.
just yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I mean overall for this movie, I wouldn't say like I didn't like it, but I liked it. But I just don't think it's reached the hype for me that like other people are hyping it up to be. And yeah, villain, like as we were talking about, like one of the main reasons. Yeah, I thought he was cringy. There's no like denying it. Like he was cringy throughout. I actually didn't mind the flashback, like with him as a kid. I thought it was like, okay, it's cool. They're setting it up in that way. But whenever you get like the main actor, like the older actor, it's raps. I think he just the way he acted, his dialogues, um, his actions, like everything was just so over the top and cringe. And like you were saying, like also like with previous like older Marvel movies, like I don't think they were that cringe. Maybe like some of the villains, but like if you look back at even like the first Iron Man, like the villain's pretty cookie cutter in that, but he wasn't like cringe. Like he was still like he's a villain. Like you can just tell he's a villain. Nothing was crazy about his character, but he was just a villain. In this, they could have gone that generic route, but they decided to, I don't know, cringeify it more. So that was a huge takeaway. I think in a superhero movie, if your villain is like that, then that's just an immediate L right there. Um, and then a couple other things. Yeah, I think the comedy aspect of it, like the entire first half and some parts of the second half when they try the comedy, like it just didn't work for me. Like I didn't find myself really laughing or like enjoying at most, I mean, enjoying most of the jokes that they were saying. I mean, it maybe the theater experience affects it because like it was literally just like me and a few people watching it in theater, but um, yeah, I didn't think the comedy was good, and that was a large part of the movie. Like at least the whole first half was basically just romantic slash comedy angle, and all that stuff did not work for me at all. Maybe like one or two jokes here and there, I got like a smirk, but that was it. Um, but yeah, I don't want to like take up more. If you guys want to talk about more stuff, you can. But those are my,
Yeah, I
I
mean,
would say my biggest two things to why like I just ended up liking the movie and not like fully loving it or like saying like it matched my hype. Because I was pretty hyped going into it because I saw it after opening weekend and after hearing everyone's reactions. So I was like hyped to see it, but I did not think it lived up to like all that.
yeah.
Yeah.
One thing, my I only have three negatives. The villain, Vanilla Kishore, and I think I also just didn't like the love track. I mean, it was necessary because the character, I don't remember her name in the movie, but
She's
you
like
know, I,
forgettable.
yeah,
Yeah.
she's forgettable and like, but she fuels the story forward, right? There's a feud with the main guy, and she gets attacked. That's how all this shit happens. That's how Hanumantu, dies in the first or almost dies in the first place. So she's necessary, but I wish it was like about a sister or something instead, because movies like this don't always need a heroine. And I thought she was just a pace breaker for like the songs and stuff, but it's whatever. It's not that big of a deal. It's traditional Telugu formula, but those are my three biggest negatives. I think that's it. So Ankit you can cover your negatives if you want. I don't have any more than that. Oh, the
I
songs
mean,
are okay. I didn't really care about the songs.
yeah, I agree with what everybody said. I think Venal Kishore, some of the comedy, the villain, is bad. But I think one thing that I personally felt was in a lot of superhero movies, when the main character gets a superpower, they go through like 20, 30 minutes or like at least a montage of like trying to learn their abilities, make sure that like they test it out and everything. I think in this movie, they like skip through it a lot. He just had like one scene where he's like, oh yeah, by the way, like it only comes out in sun time. And he doesn't really like get any super like moves or anything. He doesn't really train or practice with the super skills, if I recall correctly. I think that's one thing that dampened my experience. I think you have to like see a like a superhero like becoming to be in his own and then like maturing and saying like I have these techniques. So I don't think that movie had that. I didn't appreciate that aspect.
I think they tried some of it. You know that like train scene where like he gets run over by a
Yeah.
train. So I guess they
Hmm.
attempted something like that, but yeah, they didn't do too much of it, which I'm fine with because of we've seen so many movies where they've done that, and I'm glad they didn't spend like 10, 15 minutes just going through all that stuff. So that one scene, maybe they could have added a little bit more, like you were saying, but that one scene was like good enough for me to like think, okay, like he's practicing or trying to figure out what else powers he has.
Yeah, well, you said it was a positive for me actually, because I like the way they did show it. Like Teja Sajja fucking played like the kid version of all the tier one heroes at some point, right? So when they did a homage to like Mahesh Babu, PK, like I know some people might have found that cringe, but I thought that was cool, right? They're paying like homage to their own industry heroes, and they even said, while like they're just heroes off screen, like this is a real superhero. This is Hanuman, right? This is the power of God. So I like those sort of like elevations, and I train scene was funny as fuck. Like our theater was laughing a lot. So in stuff like that, you learn his invincibility, right? So I like that. I like they didn't show a montage because, I mean, yeah, we like Sai said, we've seen it so much, but yeah,
Yeah. That scene with all the heroes mentioning, I usually don't like that. Like I
yeah.
remember they did it in F3 once and it was like horrendous.
Oh,
Like
the
at the end of
factory.
F3. The toy
Factory, the
factory.
toy factory, yeah.
Like I hate it when movies reference like heroes and like our own industry. I don't like that at all. But here it was like it wasn't like cringe, like it was fine. It was like passable for me. Like because I usually hate that. So for this to be like passable is like good.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I mean, if you three have more negatives, you can share because I think me and Ankit liked it more than you and Abi, right? So
Yeah.
you guys might have more.
I the only other thing that like really sticks out to me is I know it's like a low budget. Obviously, they didn't have much to work with, but I still thought like a lot of the graphics they showed and is pretty like it's not that great. But the idea behind what they were trying to show is like good. So their vision was good, but I just feel like they couldn't execute it obviously because of low budget. But yeah, that's the one thing that I mean, obviously there's a sequel coming out. They'll probably fix that and amp up that budget a lot more. So as long as like Prashant Verma has the vision for what he's trying to do, like good, then I think the extra budget will help in the sequel. But for this one, I would put that in a negative because I think like especially towards like the last like 20 minutes or so, like it just did not look good and it wasn't like believable at all. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously none of the stuff is believable, but at least in like a Marvel movie, for example, that has like 100 times more of the budget, the action, even though it's fake, it looks believable, like any of the stuff that goes down. But here, I just don't think anything in the ending like looked believable.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I agree. I think the problem is for me also like I think Teja does really well. However, I just feel like him as the lead, you if you look compare this to Marvel movies, right? And the leads for those, you don't they're like prestigious actors, right? So this guy is coming up in his own, and he's considered like, not like prestigious in that way. He doesn't have that image, right? So I think that also played a part in as to why like I couldn't take it seriously. I mean not to take anything away from him, but like like you kind of need some sort of like stable like to watch someone like straightforward and not being kind of distracted by any comedy, or you can't just not taking it more seriously. So I think um that's again going like I just could not you know really believe like what was happening. It's kind of like wasn't fully invested, and I think that's where it just either made it kind of average for me. Nothing crazy as to what people were talking about coming in. So yeah, I mean for me again it's just throughout I just could not feel like something that I could believe in, believe in.
With the Deja thing, like I was okay with it because I think the characterization that like Prashant was going for was like a nobody gets this power. So I'm okay that they didn't have like other origin in this or like whoever, like, NTR or someone that we know in this role because it wouldn't make sense. Because you already see those people as like superheroes, like what they're saying in the movie, like without referencing all of them, right? They're like, yeah, they already are superheroes. So to put a random guy like Deja in there and show him as a nobody, show him basically have like not like a six-pack body and like ripped, just like literally like a nobody, like in the movie, it gets powers. I think that was like the concept of it. And like for me that was like okay, that's fine. Like I didn't have an issue with it.
Yeah, I agree with Sai there because there's like a lot of jokes that are made on him as well. Like his intro scene is supposed to be the fight where he helps his friend, but then he gets beat up. And then there's like a lot of times where the whole village calls him like a thief. And I think if you were to put a A-lister, like a really big star, he would not like tolerate these types of jokes made on his ego, you know? They would
Mhm.
all be like sucking up to him. So I think it's clearly like casted for somebody who's like of lesser stardom.
Right. Yeah. No, I agree with that. Like, I think it is casted correctly. It's just, I would have liked to see him be more serious. And I don't know if that's a personal preference, but I just think as a superhero lead, if I'm comparing it to like, if I'm trying to get in to follow it as that genre, I, I don't know, because I have not seen like more like the comedy aspect in a superhero movie. And I don't know, maybe it's just my opinion on it, but that's what I personally would have liked to see more. So
Yeah, I yeah, I mean I agree. Like I think Teja was the perfect choice. He was really good, and also I if you watch Prashant Verma's interviews and stuff, he meant for this to be like an homage to like campy superhero movies, right? Like with the connection to God. Like this is made for like kids preteens, like family stuff you take people to see. Like it's not supposed to be like he could have gone so much darker in places, could have done more, but like this is supposed
Yeah.
to be like a step one. At the end, you see the glimpses, right, of the fucking like war that's about to happen. That's obviously way darker, but this is just an introduction, and like it's supposed to be like corny. It's supposed to be cheesy. It's supposed to have like those tropes. It's supposed to be lighthearted. And then at the end, he's like setting up. It's like, okay, now shit's getting real, right? Fucking Hanuman is here. Um, but yeah, I think in that you have to go into it with the mindset this is not going to be like a Dark Knight type of movie, right? It'll be like a Spider-Man, like a Tom Holland movie, right? Like Homecoming or something like that, more lighthearted, more fun. I think Tom Holland's a perfect comparison because like Deja Sajja and like we've grown up seeing this dude, right? So it's nice to see him in this role. But yeah, I think like one last negative I had besides that, the climax fight was way too fucking long, dude. Like with all the gas starting in the village all the way up to the helicopter, it was just too long. And then like too much random shit happened, like Menelik Shore's still alive. I just wish like ending fight was more impactful because the Hanuman stuff after was really cool, but the fight itself, I was just like, oh, like, can you just finish this? Come on, like this dude should have died so much longer ago.
Yeah, like they I mean that was like the best part according to like everybody. So that's what I was like
Yeah,
looking forward to, and then yeah, I wasn't really impressed by that ending
yeah.
fight. It
I
just
think
became
people
like
meant
a
Hanuman's entry, probably.
yeah, maybe no, they were saying the last like 25, 30 minutes they were like
Really?
it's like
Oh,
crazy. Yeah, like
Mm.
basically saying the whole fight is like crazy, but I didn't find it to be like anything great. And also it just kind of becomes a generic like Telugu movie like towards like the end where like the villain literally I think in one of the shots he literally gets in a chair, like sits in a chair and just sends his goons after Teja and I'm like what is this now? Like this is like some NEC grade film at this point. But yeah, I didn't like enjoy that ending fight that much until the very end, like when on one comes.
I also hate this. I hate this shit when they kill off such a good character just to give motivation. Like, no reason to kill Baralakshmi Sarathkumar. Like, she's such a
Yeah.
good actress. Her role was so good, and it just fucking killed her. I was like,
Yeah.
what? I was like, dude, what the
I think
fuck?
it's
Like,
just that like
yeah,
superhero origin, like
I know the Uncle
generic
Ben
thing where
shit.
like yeah,
Yeah.
like they need someone close to die, so it's like your origin story. I was not even surprised that happened. I was like, okay, I was
Yeah,
expecting someone to die, and like it was her. Like
yeah.
it was
No, I'm
gonna be
just
either
sad.
her or his friend. What is his name? Get up Sinu. It
Up
was either gonna
Sinu.
be
Get up
him or
soon.
her. Yeah.
Yeah, no, and I think like yeah, I just hate when they do that shit because I think she'd be
Yeah.
great for the future movies, right? She's actually a good actress. Um, but yeah, so those are all my negatives. If you guys covered yours, I guess we can talk about positives.
Yeah, we can move on.
Yeah.
Right?
We can move on. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Ankit, do
You
you
want to
want to
start
start?
off? Oh yeah, Ankit, yeah, you can start.
So
Or did you even
I
have more
did like the
negatives?
portions that was like lighthearted. I think Teja Sajja, he's got like a very boyish charm to him. And I think that really worked for his character because he's sort of like mischievous and like he's just a young like kid. And I think he did it really well. Like his portions. Sometimes I didn't think the comedy was like the greatest. Like obviously this was geared towards children, but I think what they did, like what they worked with, I think they did well for the comedy portions.
That you have any more positives or is that it?
Oh, I thought we were going like positive by positive.
Okay, yeah. You guys
You
want
can
to
say
go?
more. Yeah, we don't just stop at one either.
Yeah. Okay, I'll say it. Okay. I think my single biggest positive of this whole movie is every time they like make references to the actual Hanuman and actually obviously show the actual Hanuman at the end. Where it was the highlight for me. I think there was very little of that. I wish they amped it up a little bit more. What I'm talking about is like, for example, like the opening credits. I love those. Like when they showed all the basically entire Hanuman's life they showed in the opening credits. And then like the moment when like Deja like falls into the water and like finds the stone right in the water or the pearl in the water. Like that's the type of stuff that I love throughout the movie. That combined with that background music they play, I think it's like part of the Hanuman Chalisa. Like they really like did mix it up well for like this modern like generation, I guess. So I love that. I think that was like my favorite part of the whole movie. It was just there was so little of it. I think the entire like Hanuman references could be like summed up in like 5 minutes or less. But that's like my favorite part, and that's honestly why like I ended up liking the movie overall. Even if that wasn't there, then I think I straight up would not have liked the movie. But That's why, yeah, that was my like single greatest like positive.
Yeah, the fight scene, like the Kusti fight scene with all the rowdies, it's like a typical fight scene, but like when he gets up and just starts kicking all their asses for the first time, and he's sitting on top of all of them and they show the Hanuman image, I was like, that's
Yeah.
sick, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and
references
then
like
even
that.
like the other one where it's like they show like Ram's like, he pokes like holes through the thing and then like
That
there's
shit was
Ram
so
behind
sick.
him.
Yeah.
Like I loved all of that stuff. Like the references to like Hanuman Ram, like everything. Like that was all cool and like handled really, really well, especially with that background music.
I thought that was the best part of the movie when
Yeah.
Samadhikarni like transforms into Teja and like you're
Yeah.
like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
And then the Ram, cut out, just like that's crazy.
Yeah.
You know, it's the best scene in the movie by far. Yeah, but
Anything else?
yeah,
I mean, do you have anything?
No, I was gonna say some other Gurneas also. Yeah, I think that part when he comes in, he takes over or he transforms into him, right? Yeah, I think you mentioned it, but yeah, I mean, and the Hanuman references, I agree with what you guys are saying. I mean, I don't, I'm trying to think more, but anything related to the actual Hanuman story itself, and I think that's what I was looking for, and there wasn't as much as I thought, but I think what was shown was good. Um, so yeah, I think that's probably my biggest positives.
I agree with that because it's like we've seen Marvel movies, we've seen DC movies, and like it's the first time that our like mythology and history is being shown in that fashion. So I think like
Hmm.
whenever those types of scenes were there, it was really interesting to see like both cultures like having like a Western take on like our Indian tradition. I thought that was really nice. And like you guys were saying with the BGM as well, I think the good elevation was there too.
I love the acting in this movie. Whether it's Samadhikarni, whether it's Teja, whether it's Varalakshmi, or even Get Up Sinu was really fucking good, right? Only
Hmm.
the heroine and then like the villain Venala Kishore and Vinay Rai were bad, but even like the Sarpanch, right? Like even he was like pretty menacing. Varalakshmi killed it. Like I love like watching her. She's a great performer. She's really good in movies like Crack, where she has like an evil side too. Like she's very good. And I think like Get Up Sinu, usually these are people you see on fucking Jabardast, right? Doing skits and doing like stuff that requires zero IQ. But here he had a great role. And even Ravi Teja as the monkey was such a delight to watch. Like I love when Ravi Teja lends his voice to shit. Whether it's Maryada Ramana, Aw, like their first collab or this movie. Like at the very end, he throws Money Babu to Teja, right? I thought that was like a good way to tie it all up. Or he even gets sad when you think Teja dies in that fight, right? It's a great way to like have that aspect, like such a big hero lending his voice, So everyone puts in an effort, and like you said, we've never had stuff like this, right? We've had like the cartoons with Chiranjeevi back in the day, like the Hanuman ones or the Krishna cartoons, and
Hmm.
I know budget CGI might not look the best, but like that shouldn't be an excuse not to make a movie, right? Like this guy did better than Adi Purush, and that's
Yeah,
fucking
definitely
saying
way better
something,
than Adi Purish.
right?
Way
So
better.
it's not just the
Yeah.
money that you have, it's how you use the money because
Yeah.
Adi Purush couldn't even use fucking 500 crores properly. And look at what these guys did with a tenth of that, right? I mean, imagine if they had their budget, the shit would look insane.
Yeah, that's
Um,
what I mean, like by like Prashant's vision. I think his vision was like way better than Omrad's. I don't even know what Omrad's vision was, but Prashant had like a really, really good vision.
yeah. And that's why and even the ending payoff with like Hanuman eye to eye and then the Jay Hanuman sequel, like he planned this
Mhm.
shit out, right? Like there's another movie Adira coming out too. So it's I respect the work that went into this movie, the effort and the acting. There are hiccups here and there, but it's such a good step in the right direction because this is a perfect Sankranti movie, right? Kids can watch it, grown-ups can watch it, even elder people can watch it, and it's just like a good way to celebrate like a Pandaga, right? It's like a God movie, and it's not vulgar, it's not dirty at any point. It's genuinely entertaining. So for me, the fact that they try something new and they actually do a good job, like even if they did an average job, I would still respect it because they fucking tried at least, right? Especially compared to Nasami Ranga or like Signed of John Wick ripoff and other shit, right? Like at least they tried, which you it points for it. If it was a rod and they tried, I would still, like Adipurus, they tried, but it was a rod. But they did well in my
Did
view.
they try though?
They did try, yeah, and it was a rod, yeah. But I can't give it credits for that.
Um, yeah, no, I think I agree with like most of your positives, but um, I don't know if I have any more positives. Yeah, we mentioned the Hanu Man stuff. I did like Teja in it. I think he was a plus also. He was really good, surprisingly. Actually, no, he's been pretty good. He never was like cringy. I liked him in like Oh Baby and all that also. Um, yeah, I mean, do you guys have anything else on Keith?
You guys said most of what I had to say.
Trying to think if we're missing anything.
Yeah, I can't
Music.
think of
What do you guys
anything.
think of music? Because there's the
I
Avakai
can't
song.
I can't really remember honestly. I don't know.
Other than the Honeyman Chalisa one and then like some of the BGM, I didn't like any of the other songs.
There's a
Yeah.
love song, and then the song where like those guys were the Avakai Pachadi song.
Yeah,
Those
I didn't
two,
like
I
any of those.
same. Yeah,
Um,
Yeah,
I think like you guys said, there's not much in the movie to like you guys liked the gist of it, right? So
yeah.
it's hard to say like
yeah.
positives when
I
you like, yeah,
Yeah, that's the thing. Like I liked it, but I just don't think I just don't think it meets the hype of like what it gained. I'm glad
yeah,
it's a success. Like I'm glad that like they made money and everything, but I just
Yeah.
don't think the hype was matched to what they showed.
yeah, and that's the
Hmm.
tricky part, right? Everyone's so excited about this movie. Like, I mean, we probably played a part in you two going in with fucking sky
Yeah.
high hopes, right? So it's like
Yeah, that's
everyone
also
gets
part of it.
so excited, yeah, and then
Yeah.
you watch it and you're like, okay, like maybe if you both went in just watching the trailer, you'd have fucked with it even more, right? So,
Yeah.
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 and reverse for Gundergarum, people said it was so rod, and I watched, and I was like, it's
Yeah. And
average.
we're like, bro, it's like, yeah, it's
Yeah, it's
odd.
it's average.
So, yeah, I
Uh,
mean,
yeah.
I think,
We
yeah,
just go around and rate it if we're
yeah.
done. Monkey, if you want to start. You
Damn, I
guys are
thought we
so
had more.
quiet on this. Yeah, you guys are so quiet in this episode.
I can't think of anything, man. I don't know. I really do.
To give an honorable mention to Chiranjeevi for being in this movie. I
Oh,
think that's
My
another
God.
plus.
Wait, was he
Um,
actually Hanuman in it or what?
they use his eyes like
Oh, but he didn't do any work.
for
Like they just
Hanuman.
used his like eyes as the design, right?
Yeah, but he was in the movie, you know.
Oh my, yeah, okay.
I
no,
wish we got more Hanuman scenes. Is I guess one more
yeah,
negative, like, yeah, because it's like
yeah.
No, I
I don't know
mean,
if there's, yeah,
I'm okay they didn't because like he looked pretty bad like in the end. Like it clearly looked like a freaking like animated cartoon. So I'm glad like they saved it for the next one when they probably will have a bigger budget and they can actually show him properly. Like I'm glad they didn't show like him in like an action scene. I think that would have looked really bad.
yeah, I guess they need to stop with this. Like, I know this kind of movie requires a universe, but I'm just getting tired of seeing so many part twos or universes and shit. Like, there's a hit
Yeah.
universe. Who the fuck
I
asked for
mean,
that? Like,
I think Prashant said what? It's like a 12 or 11 or 12 film like thing that he has. It's like
yeah,
why, man? Like why does it have to be that long?
but at least I don't know. Hopefully, it follows through because he's said some cool ideas. Like, he wants NTR to be Bimuru. He wants Nani to be like another character. And if all these guys, end up doing it, it could be cool. But I'm
Yeah.
saying other movies, like, I don't think Hit 3 is even gonna happen, right? Like stuff
Hmm.
like that. There just needs to be better movies made in one fucking part. Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's go around and give our numerical ratings if you guys are all set. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I can start. So I think I would give this a solid 7 out of 10. Because I definitely liked it, but I just don't think it was like anything crazy. Overall, like yeah, it is a great film for like families, especially like during like Pangda season. Like it's like the perfect film, like you were saying, Akil. Which is why it easily took over like all the other movies that came out this season. Um, but yeah, for me, it just I can't give it over the 7 because there were like some glaring negatives that I didn't think were good. Maybe if they fix that stuff in the next one, then it'll be like one of those like top notch like Marvel level, superhero movies. But for now, like I would give it like a 7.
Yeah. I think what one last thing before we all finish. The fights, I've heard criticism of the fights, so I'm curious if you guys have any thoughts. I heard they're like, how in superhero movies we get close-up shots like combat hand to hand. Here he just hits them and they fly, right? People didn't like I've read discourse
Yeah.
online that people hated that. So I'm
And I
curious.
think that goes into the believability of it, right? Like I
That's what
don't
you're
like it
saying.
just yeah, that's part of what I'm saying. Like throughout the whole movie, there's sequences of the fighting, right? So yeah, I think that's a negative for
Yeah,
me.
it could have
So
been choreographed better.
better, yeah,
Yeah.
right,
I didn't think the fights were that great, but like some of the emotion in the fights was still there. Like for example, when he's fighting the Sarpunch dude, I thought
yeah,
the emotion was fine there, so you can kind of forgive the fight. It's like whatever, like, because you
yeah,
understand like what's happening, like why is the motive behind what's going on. Um,
mm,
so yeah, some of the fights were pretty useless. Like in the climax, there were a couple scenes where I was like, this is kind of dumb. They should just cut this. But
yeah,
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's also some parts where like yeah, the fights were there for comedy. I think the first time where he's trying to show the necklace to the heroine, right? And he like punches somebody and then they stay in the air for like 10 minutes or something and come back down. Like obviously like that whole fight like it was choreographed just for like comedy and to like make kids laugh, right? So I don't think like we can
I don't
fault
know.
that one, but yeah, I think some actual fights in the movie like they could have been better.
Yeah. That another thing I was gonna say is that it's like a lot of the stuff was like I felt like catered to kids.
yeah,
Like a lot of it I
a
thought was
lot
like
of it.
very like kid like friendly. I mean, yeah, good for kids that they get to watch this, but like for adults, I think like they'll find it less enjoyable compared to like taking your family or taking your kids to it. So maybe
Yeah,
in the next one they can balance that out a little bit better, like make it more 50-50 rather than like 80 to
hmm
kids, like 20 to adults. But yeah,
yeah.
that's like another like
That's
negative.
yeah, yeah. I agree with that totally. I think that's what my dad said too. He saw it before me, and he was like, "This is for kid, like it's a kid movie." And I was
Yeah.
like, but then Akila said it's not. So then I was like, I don't know. But yeah, I think next movie, hopefully they get into the more, you know, get away from like the kid friendly aspect of it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And that
it's
doesn't
like
mean like you got to make it like super dark and
Right.
like
Yeah.
depressing, but
Right.
just
Right.
find a better medium ground.
Yeah.
I the graphics and the climax scared me a little bit. Like the horses and all the evil creatures. I was like, this looks really bad, but they have time. They have
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that was also like
Take your
part of
time.
the budget of this movie, right? They're not
Yeah.
using the budget of the next one. So the next one they'll have more to like work
Yeah.
with.
Yeah.
But like you said, you gave it a seven.
7. Yep, I get
Crazy. I
7.
feel like you and I have pretty differing thoughts, but I'm giving it a 7.5. So either
Damn.
you're generous with your ratings or I'm fucking
I think
I'm
I was a
just
little generous, but I mean, it's still like a good movie. Like I'm not gonna say like I didn't like enjoy it as much as like I still liked it overall. So 7 for me is like I liked it.
yeah, I gave it a 7.5 because like Abby said, the villain's really cringe and it's hard to take him seriously when he's just yelling all the time. And this
Mhm.
idiot gets his eye taken out
Yeah.
like half,
Try.
it's just like funny. Like it's so dumb. And I think like I just wished like fights were better choreographed, better villains, but great step in the right direction. I highly recommend people to watch this on the big screen because, I mean, people are such critics when it comes out on OTT that like, oh, in this scene, the underpaid graphics and shit. So while you still can watch it in theaters and yeah, it definitely a good step. Good first step. Yeah.
I agree with that. I think um it's really cool how Prashant Varma has always been like I think it's really cool how Prashant Varma has been always making something different from the start. He did the Awe with like multiple stories and then he had Zombie Ready, you know. So something like this, like I really appreciate that he's been pushing the boundaries. I would also give it a 7. I think the movie was good for what it was. I think the flaws that it had put it down a lot, but I think by the end, it's still like a good movie and a great step in the right direction, like you guys were saying.
Yeah. So I think for me, um, yeah, like I just there's a lot of characters, man. I just didn't. I kind of already, said it, but yeah, just the ability to just follow and think that things are actually real. The believability of it's not there for me. I do feel like the kid aspect outweighs kind of the more young adult type aspect, right? And just because of that, just genre, it doesn't. I think I'm just not as a big of a fan. So I would still say it's good. It's a good start, like you mentioned. I mean, Dejo does really well. It's it's good for what its budget is. but I don't know, for whatever reason, like it just was not something that I could follow and believe to be. Something was missing. So I would rate it around 6.5. So yeah.
Honestly, my views probably more aligned with the six, but I think I just like was generous because I really, really, really liked the Hanuman aspects of the movie, like when they reference Hanuman the god. So that just really brought it up for me a lot. So that's what I put it at a seven. But if that wasn't there, or they like had like one or two less scenes touching on that aspect, or like that BGM wasn't that good, then there's no way that it would have gone over a six for me. But yeah, I'll give it a seven still.
Yeah. I think there's just a lot of bullshit haters online saying like if you take out the last 20 minutes, movie would be a disaster, which I don't think is fair. But
Yeah.
like you
I
said,
mean, a lot of people like yeah, what we saw online, like a lot of people were saying that's the best part. So
yeah,
if that
yeah,
wasn't there, then maybe the movie would not have been like as huge of a hit.
yeah. But no, I just think people discredit the whole movie, saying like if the last 2 minutes weren't there, it'd be done. And I'm like, oh,
Oh yeah,
not
that's
yeah.
like yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, I mean that's our thoughts. Definitely, I think it's a like should I think most of us still think you should watch it, right? I don't know about Adi, but I think it's worth a watch.
Yeah. I would
Yeah,
say
I would say watch in
worth a
theaters
watch.
though. Yeah,
Oh,
but
I was
it's too
gonna
late
say
now.
like I was gonna say just watch it at home, but yeah.
But now
Wow,
it's too late to
just
watch. But yeah,
Yeah,
I don't know how it'll be on small team or
worse.
TVs. It'll be
yeah,
worse for sure. So
For
maybe.
sure.
I
Yeah.
don't know
Or
if
maybe some
you're
of the graphics won't look as like blown up, so
exactly
like it might be like better, but who knows?
maybe yeah.
Yeah.
I
So, but fuck Adi Bursh because
yeah.
what a joke, dude. When this exists, actually, what a joke.
Yeah.
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 All right.
All
So
right.
yeah, we'll catch you guys on the next one. Maybe we'll review Fighter. Maybe some whatever the fuck comes out in the next few months. We'll get to. Yeah. We'll
Yeah.
see you guys next
All right. See you guys.
time.
All right.